Good evening, everybody. Thanks so much for joining. I have a real treat for you tonight. We're going to get into probably the most controversial topic when it comes to pizza. And I'll tell you straight out. You saw the title. Is pineapple on pizza acceptable behavior for an adult? That's not all we're going to talk about tonight. I want to also go into a little bit of what makes a good pizza, what are good toppings for pizza, and I want to get the community involved in this. I actually posted to Facebook today. I have a whole bunch of responses from people on Facebook, things that they like on their pizza. And a couple of orders of business here. If you go into the video description after the video, there's a couple of ways you can support the channel and support future live streams. I got a merch shop. I got Buy Me a Coffee. And I'm giving away a free ebook if you sign up for my email newsletter. I'm sending one email a month. It's not anything crazy. So check that out. And without any further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest of the evening, my cousin, Bobby A, and giving him a quick intro here. And I'll let him give himself an intro too. He grew up in the pizza business. His family owns a pizzeria in Oneonta, and he worked there for a long time. So Bobby, say hi to the YouTube audience here.
Hello, everybody in YouTube land. And Jerry, thanks for having me on. It's going to be a fun time, as we always know how to do together.
So tell us a little bit about your background in pizza and kind of why I brought you on here, just quickly, and then we'll get into the debate over the pineapple.
Sure. Well, like you mentioned, my father came to this country just like your father from Calabria and started a pizzeria. His first pizzeria, actually, when he was 19 years old. And by his mid-20s, he opened up the place that is in Oneonta now. And as soon as I was old enough to reach the sink and wash dishes, I was there working. And I started doing dishes and scraping out dough crates and bussing tables and cash register, and then assisting the pizza guy. And eventually I learned the art of making pizza and spent many, many years, making lots of pies. And then through my travels, I also had the opportunity to work in some other places in New York City and in New Jersey, where I learned some different styles of pizza making. And I just have a real serious passion for pizza. It's, second to my main love in my career of drumming. And so here I am talking pizza with my cousin.
There you go. So I when I was teaching cooking classes here in the Albany area, and Bobby's also local to Albany, he and I live like 10 minutes apart. I tapped into that, and we developed a pizza class together at different drummers that we taught. And the one thing that just jumping right into the pineapple on pizza, and I want you guys to leave comments in the chat as we talk about this. If there's anything you want us to call out, I'll bring some comments up. What captivates me about this debate is, as far as I'm concerned, I'm kind of indifferent to it, to be honest. Like, I don't think it's a martial crime like a lot of people out there do. It's not something that I'm seeking out at this point. But I notice on your Facebook page that the debate comes up often, and it's captivating to me how passionate people get about it. And furthermore, I posted today about it, probably for the first time I ever did. And even on that thread, people that normally comment on my stuff are also pretty passionate one way or the other. So tell me a little bit about your thoughts about pineapple on pizza. I want to hear it straight from your mouth.
Well, before I get into that, I have to say you touched on something. The passion that people have for pizza can get very, very intense. It's almost as crazy as how things get in some of the political debates. I mean, people are really into their pizza and into the pizza that they grew up with, or the pizza of their region. And, that's good, because that's what the food is supposed to be. It's the people's food. As far as the pineapple on the pizza, I'm like you. I'm indifferent to it. I think just like anything, it comes down to the quality and how it's made and how it's done. Now, I tend to be more of a traditionalist, and I tend to like my pizza to be more the Italian flair. But believe me, people are putting all sorts of things on what they call pizza nowadays. And, what's getting passed off as toppings I don't know if pineapple's really the worst one. I think it's just one of those hot buttons that can get a debate going. And
Yeah,
it's kind of a fun debate,
yeah. And that's kind of why I put this together. It's funny because you texted me this picture earlier, which is like basically defines how. I mean, it's supposed to be funny. You have your social distancing guideline, and the bottom one says people that put pineapple on pizza, you're supposed to stay that far away from them. That to me was a funny thing that we saw that you sent me, and just because it kind of illustrates people's feelings about the whole thing. So I want to actually go through the Facebook thread and call out a few of the comments that people had in regards to the pineapple on pizza, because I thought that was actually pretty interesting. We had our cousin Pat who just said no pineapple. Some people just said it's not a favorite topping, but it's not a food felony.
Right.
Another chef actually commented that there's nothing wrong with pineapple on pizza, especially with Canadian bacon. And that actually, excuse me, my experience with pineapple on pizza, that's a good time to kind of throw that in there. The first time I ever had pineapple on pizza was my junior year of college. I was living in a townhouse at Siena College, and I ordered Papa John's pizza. Now, obviously Papa John's isn't the best pizza, but you're a college kid, right? So you gotta partake in it. And they had what they called Hawaiian pizza, which was like ham and pineapple. And people were getting the jalapeno peppers and stuff on it, but I just had the ham and pineapple. And let me tell you, for what it was, I really liked it at the time. It's like I said, it's not something I'd seek out now, but it's one of those things that would probably give me a little nostalgia.
Well, if you want to talk about some facts about toppings on pizza, probably the most popular topping in America, at least, is pepperoni, which is not even a real thing in Italy. If you go to Italy and order a pepperoni pizza, you're going to get a pizza with peppers on it. So in Italy, the close thing to what we call pepperoni here would be like a calabrese, a supersata, which they put on pizza, which would kind of be like our pepperoni. So I think as far as the pineapple is concerned, I've had pineapple with pepperoni on a pizza, and if it's done with the right kind of a crust, maybe more of like a Chicago crust or maybe a Detroit type of a crust, or pan pizza, and a good caramelization of the mozzarella, it could be pretty nice. You can kind of have like sort of that salty, savory, sweet and sour kind of vibe. But on an Italian pizza, nah, there's a different code.
I think also with an Italian pizza, and this is kind of one of those things that is another kind of, I think people misunderstand Italian pizza. A New York style pizza is supposed to be really crispy bottom, very thin, nice end crust. But Italian pizza, really, if you think about it, is not that kind of crispiness.
No.
Like a Neapolitan pizza. It's almost kind of a little bit soggy.
Well, I just had some for dinner tonight. I just got a brand new it's called the Rock Box oven by a company called Guideline, and there it is. I just set it up today and used it for the first time today. It makes a 12-inch pizza. It gets up to 932 degrees, which is typical of the Neapolitan style in Naples. And you have to make the right dough for it to work. And like you said, it's not really soggy, but what it is, it's got a snap and kind of a crunch at the edge, but it's soft in the middle and spongy because there's a lot of air in there in the dough. So it's not really supposed to be bready and thick and bitey. It's supposed to be fluffy, almost like a donut.
Yeah.
Like in texture, like a hot out of the, hot, fresh donut. And, but not moist like a donut like that, but just like fluffy. Right. And, these pies came out delicious. They were just like being, in a Neapolitan style restaurant. So I was really pleased with how the oven went. And that was on the maiden voyage of that oven.
That's awesome. Yeah. So my what I was trying to get at with that was that if for me, putting pineapple on something, and this is something I'll touch on when we get to pizza toppings, putting pineapple on a Neapolitan style pizza, because of the fact that it's kind of softer in the middle. Let's not say soggy. Let's say soft. For me, the pineapple has too much water in it.
Yes.
So that's kind of where I'm coming from. And I there's some very common pizza toppings that people like to request on pizza that I actually I'm not going to say against, because also I don't know if I said this at the beginning, but your opinion is your opinion. I'm not here, and Bobby is not here to mock you or to judge you. You know, what you like is what you like, and we're not here to tell you that it's wrong or right. We're just trying to go through the debate here and have a little bit of fun. This is for entertainment purposes.
Well, you know, you're right about the toppings. If you put toppings that are high in moisture on a pizza, it's going to steam and make your pizza soggy. I can't tell you how many times people want a fresh onion and a fresh pepper on a pizza, meaning not sauteed or cooked up, or where some of the moisture is already taken out of it. And you put it in a pizza box, you close that lid, it steams in the box. When it came out of the oven, it was nice and crispy. That's why eating a pizza at the restaurant out of the oven is the best.
Yeah.
But you know, by the time it gets to your house, half an hour later, it's the moisture has really sweated in the box, and it's not the pizza's not soggy, it's the toppings choice, you know.
Yeah. So we'll get back to that point in a second. I want to get back to some of the community posts. I had another chef who actually chimed in and said, pineapple, whatever someone wants and enjoys in their pizza is fine with me. And that actually plays to a point that I have a surprise guest coming on the stream a little bit later, and I think that comment kind of rings to their opinion on the thing, but I think they're a little more passionate about it. We had another person who actually said pineapple and anchovy together, which I actually thought was a really interesting kind of combination. I didn't know that anchovy was actually as popular as it seems to be at this point. And then and this was the one. I got a few more to go through here.
I'm thinking about that one now. The saltiness of the anchovy with the pineapple might actually be, if you do it right, it might be interesting.
Yeah, I would try it. I'll try anything as long as it doesn't have cauliflower.
Cauliflower crust. Now, if we want to have a debate, let's have one.
Let's stick to the topic. So the next comment was the one, a guy, Brian, I used to work with. His quote, I'm going to quote him directly. Pineapple on pizza is war crime, punishable by firing squad. Now that one to me was just one of those where it's like, all right, I think we're a little bit too passionate at that. Like you said, like we're getting political there.
Yeah. But what I would be curious is what is his favorite pizza and his favorite topping, and I'm curious sometimes.
He did add that.
You know,
he said bacon and supersata.
Okay.
So the saltier toppings. Then we had your friend Leslie who said pineapple is not something they'd order, but not mad at it. You know, so that's kind of like indifferent, just like me. A couple other people say no pineapple. So if you went to somebody's house and they had pineapple pizza, what would your reaction be?
You know, I'm going to tell you the truth. Chances are, if they have pineapple pizza, the pineapple is going to be good. What I'm going to be more worried about is, what's that sauce look like? You know, is it looking like a jar sauce? Is it looking like Prego, or looking like just, tomato paste or ketchup or something like that? And what's the crust look like? You know, does it look like it's evenly spread out, or is it lumpy on one side? So the pineapple is probably the safe bet, because it probably came out of a Dole can. And by the way, Dole, he was Italian.
Are you sure about that? I don't know.
Yeah, go back and check out the history of the founding members of Dole. It's probably Dole.
Okay, that's funny.
If I stand corrected, I'll eat a can of pineapples.
I won't look into that now, but we'll get there. I'm noticing that there's actually a few people joining the stream here. I want to say to those people, welcome. I see the chat is lit up. What we'll do is, when we get through the next segment here, I'll pull up some of the comments that you guys are leaving in the chat, and me and Bobby will react to them before we get back to this pineapple on pizza debate. I did want to move on at this point, though, and talk a little bit about actual pizza toppings and like what makes the optimal pizza. Now, when we taught the class at Different Drummers Kitchen, I always want to deliver value whenever I'm putting anything together. And for me, going there and having a class for the amount of money those students were spending, it wasn't enough for me to just say, okay, here's how you make the dough, here's how you cook the dough. I wanted to give them a little bit of value. So we came up with some combinations, and you actually you had us over your house, and you made like prototypes of things that we did for that. That was actually a really fun night.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of those combinations, and then we'll go into a little bit more of the more common. I would say we went a little crazy that night.
That's what crazy Calabrese. What do you do?
So like we made the pizza margherita.
Yeah.
So I'm actually, I'll let you give your introduction to the pizza margherita, because I think you describe it really well.
Well, quite simply, I mean, this is the pizza that is the mother of all pizzas that we know in the modern world. Now, actually, pizza, or the idea of pizza, or a flatbread with toppings on it, happened before the pizza margherita. The Greeks were doing it, and a lot of the Mediterranean areas were doing it. But what ended up happening in the late 1800s was Italy became a unified country, and they had a sense of nationalism going on. This is where we come up with, Garibaldi and the red shirts and the Italian flag and the Italian colors. At the same time in Naples, a very popular peasant and street food was pizza. Just taking up some flatbread and putting some kind of topping, usually be like an anchovy or olive oil, garlic. New to the Italian area was tomatoes, which Columbus brought back over from South America, and were planted in the volcanic soil from Mount Vesuvius, which is around that area. And these tomatoes really had great flavor, and the soil really helped them out in terms of flavor, color, and robustness. And those are what are known as San Marzano tomatoes. So I think the guy's name was Raphael Esposito, and his wife had a pizza place that is still there in Naples. I think it's called Pizzeria Anteca, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but it's still there. And the Queen of Italy, the new Queen of Italy, was traveling around the region, heard about this food, and wanted to try it. So Raphael Esposito delivered a couple of pizzas in tin, sort of cold, it was like tin box or can, where they can put like hot coals on the bottom to keep the pizza warm when he delivered it. And he brought a few over, and actually his wife was the pizza maker, and he gets the credit, but his wife was the one who did the pizza making. And he asked her, which one do you like the best? And she chose the one that had tomato, fresh mozzarella, and basil, which was the colors of the Italian flag, the newly, crafted Italian flag, green, white, and red. And he said, hey, this is your pizza. What do you want it to be? I'm going to name it after you, Queen Margherita. And that's how the margherita pizza became. It was still not really liked by the rest of Italy. The pizza had to come to America in places like New Haven and New York, and then return back to Europe before it started to get the international kind of appeal that it has now as pizza as we know it now.
Yeah, it's funny. Everybody seems to think that New York pizza is strictly a thing that was developed here, and Chicago pizza is strictly a thing that was developed there. Which, by the way, there's two types of Chicago pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Which, most people don't know that. They just know the deep dish, but there's also a thin version that they make there.
Mm-hmm.
And even in Italy, there's no such thing as actual pizza. Like you go to Venice, they don't make pizza. Though I mean, now they probably do. But they make pizza that's more like, a square, and they cut it with a scissor and,
right.
Weigh it for you by the pound,
yes.
And stuff like that. But getting back to the toppings that we were making,
mm-hmm.
we went a little overboard and a little crazy. The next pizza we made was the pizza marinara, right? Which is just a tomato and a little bit of Romano cheese, garlic,
My favorite. That's my favorite pizza right there. It's so simple. And it tastes like you eat in a garden. If you have a well-baked bread and a nice fresh garden ingredient, it's summertime all year round.
Yep. And then we made a dedication to a Calabrese one.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of like a mixture of my background and your background. I made the homemade sausage. We made a Italian sausage, a hot sausage, and I think we put ricotta on that one too.
Yep.
That was a fun one. Then we did the Clams Casino was a really good one.
Yes.
That was, I don't remember exactly what it was. Tell me what that one was.
That's sort of like a tribute to the New Haven clam pizza. And essentially what we kind of did was take the same kind of idea that you would do for a clam sauce, like a white clam sauce, a linguine with white clam sauce. Basically that kind of a thing. Olive oil, maybe a little bit of butter, maybe, some white wine, the garlic, of course, and then the clams. And you fry them up first, and then you put it on the pizza. I don't think we put any cheese in. I can't remember or if we did, it was very light, very sparingly.
I think we finished with a little cheese just for a little bit of like saltiness at the end.
Yeah, we probably did put some cheese, but fish and cheese is like you gotta be careful like how it works.
Yeah, and then there was the other one, and this was one of the comments on Facebook was a student, a friend of mine, Kel. She said the one with the arugula and the fig jam with the prosciutto draped on top was her favorite, and that was like the California style pizza.
Yeah, but that has a kind of an Italian thing too with the arugula and the fig, and that you put on after the pizza. I think what we did was we made a margarita. When the margarita came out, we put those toppings on it. Did we do the one with the caramelized onions? The white one? That's another one that I like to do a lot, which is a white pizza with a little bit of ricotta, mozzarella, and then I caramelize onions with a pinch of sugar in it to really kind of sweeten them up, and then I'll pair it with like a prosciutto, some salty meat with the caramelized onions on a white pizza. It's pretty good.
Yeah. So that actually reminds me of a story back. Remember when I used to do at my apartment the New Year's Eve party? That one year you came over, and I'm like, I thought of this like amazing idea. In my head, it was an amazing idea. It was an Italian combo pizza that had ham, salami, provolone, and a little bit of mozzarella to kind of tie it all together. And I remember your response, like you're like, "That's gonna be a salty mother effer." Right?
We love our salty meats, man.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely was salty. I think salami is a little too salty to put on a pizza, but I ain't gonna judge if you do it. I did want to get through a couple of these community posts. There were a couple of really interesting toppings, so I want to get your reaction. My friend Jason Gamba said just mozzarella and sauce. That's kind of very much in line with you with the simplicity. Mm-hmm. You like just the sauce and a little bit of cheese.
Yep.
We have another chef, Chris Faraci, who said sausage, mushrooms, and olives. That sounds like a good combo to me, honestly.
I love olives on pizza.
My friend Jim Alberton, he's saying pepperoni with jalapeno, which to me sounds awesome. He also is a spice lover, so he'll throw on some hot sauce with it too.
Wow.
And he's getting a little technical with what he's putting on it, but yeah, that sounds interesting to me. I love it.
Jalapenos for me, they just never sit good, but maybe like a banana pepper, or like even like those cherry peppers. I like those on a pizza.
That's like the Q from the Impractical Jokers. He gets a hot cherry pepper pie. My friend Chef Dominic Colos, who's actually going to be on the show next week, said anchovies and hot cherry peppers. That's a fun one. Then here's my friend Lee. I really don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she said simple one topping affair, pepperoni or roasted garlic. And when she makes it herself, she cleans out the fridge. And last night she made buffalo chicken, jalapeno, and onion, which sounds awesome. And she's the one who actually loved pineapple and anchovy together.
Interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that was an interesting one. I'm going to skip over my brother Dom's. No offense.
Anchovies, if it's done right, can be really good. If you make it so they melt, maybe like frying them up a little bit and they melt a little bit. Capers and some black olives and maybe like a little garlic in the sauce. And now you got like a pizza puttanesca.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And it's pretty good. And it's not so pungent like you might think with the anchovy. It's just a little salt, You know
what it is? I think in like the 80s and 90s when we were growing up, I think a lot of ingredients just got misused. I think that's just what it came down to. You don't know if you could trust the anchovies. You don't know where they were coming from. But if you go to the store yourself and you get a good jar of anchovies, I'm sure that's going to be excellent on pizza.
Well, you know whose fault that was, right?
Don't say my father.
No, I was going to say the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
All right, moving along here. Leslie Garrett, who said pepperoni. My friend Humberto, he goes to a place in Brooklyn that does kale, sausage, and pine nuts, which to me sounds a little bit of like new age, but
that's what
I'd try it.
Yeah.
Pepperoni, sausage, anchovies, sometimes onions and peppers, Kalamata olives, artichoke hearts. I'm assuming they don't mean at the same time. And then my friend Kel Hossinger, who said, the one that we made with the fig arugula. Oh yeah, we did shaved Parmesan cheese too on that. Was awesome.
Oh, yeah, that was the nice touch on there at the end. Like, so it's all these like little touches that, a little bit can go a long way with pizza.
Yep.
And sometimes people think you have to just load it up. I mean, if that's what you like, but if you want to taste all the ingredients, it really comes down to the style and the preparation and the region. And that's a key thing to think about. Different regions of Italy and the whole entire world enjoy their pizza their way. It's a product of the environment.
Yeah. And that actually, what you mentioned there is another thing. So when you get toppings at a pizzeria, let's say we're strictly talking about New York style pizza.
Yeah.
A lot of places you don't know when you get a topping what exactly you're going to get. You think that you're going to get like a loaded pizza, but they only put like a couple of pieces of pepperoni per slice, And that's why my favorite thing to order when I go to a pizzeria, and this goes back to the early 90s when I was big into Pizza Hut, is the Meat Lovers pizza. I just love it because you almost never have any crust that's not covered with meat, And to me, that's just awesome. I love when they do Canadian bacon instead of like ham.
Yeah.
To me, that's an awesome touch.
Yeah.
And I love how the pepperoni and the sausage, and even if they're using that sausage, it just looks like little nuggets that they're clearly like deep frying. Like I love that stuff. I just eat that stuff.
That's a good example. You can call one place and say, I want a sausage pizza, and you might get sliced sausage, or you might get the little balls, or you might get what looks like breakfast links, or you might get crumbled sausage. So you have to do your research, people, and you have to ask.
You just actually hit a nerve. So here's a story. I probably have told you this one, but I haven't probably told it here on the stream or on the channel at all. So I used to do the judging for the All Over Albany Tournament of Pizza for, I think, either 3 years or 4 years, about a decade ago. And one of the pizzas that we had was from a pizzeria that my father's calling.
He's like, what are you guys talking about?
We're live here. Anything can happen, including my dad, who's in the chat talking, thinking that I'm going to pick up the phone. I will, out of respect for you guys, I'm going to go on to Do Not Disturb. How about that?
Hey, Uncle Dom, how you doing?
There you go. So I did this judging, and we got a pizza, and it was the finals, okay? And the pizzeria was clearly from the guy was clearly from Brooklyn, okay? I go to that pizzeria all the time. And I remember they ordered a pizza with sausage, peppers, and onions. And that hit a nerve in and of itself. But one of the judges, who was a guest judge for the night, decided that they didn't like the sausage, and they thought they were going to say it tasted like breakfast sausage. Now, it was the most asinine thing I've heard, because to me, what the defining feature of a breakfast sausage is that sage, that kind of herby taste. Mm-hmm. And that wasn't on there at all. You could see fennel seeds, and it was sliced sausage.
Yeah.
So a few months later, I went in, and the guy, the owner, the Italian guy, he, every time I'd go in there, he's like, "Oh, there's the judge," like I had any control over any of it. And he's like, "What do you guys, you guys wrote that it tastes like breakfast sausage." And I said, "Well, number one, that ain't my website. Whatever they wrote, they wrote." But yeah, there was a judge there who said that it tasted like breakfast sausage. And I told her, I said, this guy's either making this sausage or he's getting it from somebody who makes the sausage, like actual Italian sausage. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what you're talking about. And that was kind of one of those things that was like eye-opening. not everybody who talks knows what they're talking about.
That's across every board. That's not just pizza. That's this world I'm in, and you know, everybody's an expert, but I don't know how many people have actually put the hours behind where the source of it comes from.
Yeah, and that was kind of a whole thing, and that, you know, it hit a nerve. The other thing I wanted to touch on there, what we got to the watery toppings on pizza, and one thing that I really dislike is ordering peppers on pizza, and I'm talking about like bell peppers. Something like a pickled jalapeno or a cherry pepper, I'm fine with because those are usually pretty dry as it is, and then they'll dry out in the oven a little bit more. But when you put raw bell peppers, depending on how thick they are, those things don't always get a good chance to cook.
Right.
The other thing is oil and water don't mix. Vegetables are like 90% water. You got cheese on top. These things are not going to melt together very well. So my PSA is, if you're going to put peppers on pizza, I'm all for it. Just saute that thing before you put it on there.
Saute one, or another option is put it under the cheese. This way it's kind of covered up a little bit, and when you take a bite of the cheese first, it will kind of absorb any of the moisture.
Yeah.
In the bite of the cheese before so you're not getting water and then the pizza. You're getting the fat of the cheese. And that's what we really want, and then the water.
So if you're going to order a New York style pizza, what do you order?
Usually, if I'm ordering from a place I never, went to before, I always get a cheese plain, first. And then if I have to order a second one, I just go pepperoni. I figure I got to see how they do the two New York staples. And that's it. I have to be really in the mood for something like hearty for more than that. I will tell you this, and anybody watching this might find this a bit surprising. I like some of the DiGiorno pizzas that are out there. They have the one that they make that comes in the pan. I don't know if they call it a Sicilian, or to me it's more of like a Detroit style, but it caramelizes around the edge. The bread caramelizes around the edge, and it's pretty tasty. And then sometimes I'll order I'll pick up like their version of like a Supreme pizza. And I find those, pretty tasty, especially when you just don't feel like doing a lot of work.
You see, you just brought up another point. So those pizzas go through a ton of research and development.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, when you're developing something like that, you got to think about how it's going to be, processed by the buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And so much goes into that it's almost like it's impossible for it to be bad if you get one of the higher end ones. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was a commercial, I think, during Super Bowl that I saw for a DiGiorno pizza with a croissant crust. And I told Cassie, like, that sounds amazing. And it looks incredible. And I'm sure it's the most amazing thing.
Right.
You're
right. They basically did their research to say, okay, all these many people are going to love croissants and all these many people are going to love pizza. So if we put this together, it's a win. And if it's not a win, who cares? They're still selling their, they're still selling their Supreme.
Exactly. All right. So we got some more people in the chat here, and I think I'm going to go through the chat and pull up anything where anybody put up some toppings that they like. And then we'll get to questions in just a second. So we got my dad who lit up the chat, capicolo and anchovies, or escarole or zucchini, and don't forget goat cheese and figs. That sounds good.
Yeah.
And so those were the only ones that were toppings. So I want to bring on another guest. I want to get back to this pineapple on pizza thing. And then we'll get to shout outs from the chat here. So if there's anything you want to say to me, Bobby, or our guest coming on now, go ahead and do that. And I will pull up the banner. Is pineapple on pizza gross? And we have joining the stream a last minute addition here, my brother, Van Dominic, who's going to give his take on this whole debate.
It looks like you said a big pepperoni and pineapple pizza.
Yeah, I almost did. I love how you kept saying it like you have a guest, like as if I'm like gonna be like walking out of an entrance. So what do you want to know?
All right. So you have a pretty strong opinion about people's opinions on the internet.
Right. Let
So-
me okay, yeah. So let me just stop you right there. I don't have a strong opinion about pizza toppings. I have a strong opinion about people who have opinions about my pizza toppings.
That makes total sense to me.
Yeah.
So tell us what you mean by that. Like like if you went to the store and ordered pineapple pizza and somebody was like, "Oh, you're getting pineapple on pizza,"
Right.
like what would be your answer to them?
Yeah. So my answer to them is this. Unless you have an envelope with my rent money in your pocket, then basically you can't tell me what I'm gonna eat, right? Like unless you pay my rent, unless you're gonna buy my pizza, this is my money. So that's number one. Number two, you know what it comes down to? It comes down to unmitigated gall. That's what it comes down to. So number two, the problem that I have with it is that people have to take it that extra step, right? Like, I don't care if somebody thinks that pineapple on pizza is gross. I think that arugula is the most disgusting thing that's ever happened in life. I don't, but like, obviously everyone around me eats it because when you order a sandwich and you ask for lettuce, they give you arugula. So I lost that battle. But my problem is the person who says pineapple on pizza is gross and it's a crime, and then they have to like take it that extra step. Like when you go to a pizzeria, there's 55 toppings to choose from, but like pineapple almost became like a meme, like of all of them. Like, how is pineapple any worse than anything else? And I'm going to take it one step further to complete my point, which is that the people who do this like to play the Italian card where they're just like, no, that's not how Italians do it. Meanwhile, the Italians are the ones who put together this combination. Watermelon with goat cheese wrapped in prosciutto, drizzled with balsamic vinegar. So now you're going to tell me that putting pineapple on a pizza is gross. And I don't buy it.
Yeah, I mean, that's where I am too. I don't get into food debates like that as far as like feeding the fodder and on like comment sections or stuff like that, unless it's something where I know that I'm right. Because to me, if it's your opinion, I can't be right. You know what I mean? So I'm not there to judge what you're going to do with your pizza. So I don't think it's gross. I don't think it's not gross. I would, if somebody ordered, a Hawaiian pizza. I mean, put it this way, and this was something I meant to bring up earlier, Bobby. I don't know if you know this, but my dad and Uncle Victor used to make this thing called Hawaiian sausage. Do you know about this?
Oh God, that was gross. Okay,
so
forget what I just said.
They basically put pork, for the sausage through the grinder along with pineapple and maraschino cherries and put it and stuffed it and cooked it. It was not good, but. And I don't know. I mean, is even calling that cultural appropriation at this point? Anyway, let's not get into politics.
I mean, listen, maybe because it's all about experimentation. A lot of great things came out by accident. If the Queen Margarita didn't like that pizza, if he decided to instead of put basil on there and put anchovy as the third color, everybody, would be eating anchovy pizza and thinking it's the greatest thing in the world. So I think the moral of the story here is to each his own.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically where I'm coming from.
But my thing is that's the reason why it bothers me so much, because of all of the food that you could eat, is there anything that is more literally like a canvas than pizza? Like pizza is literally a canvas. So you're telling me essentially, like, I'm going to take it this far. You're telling me that if I'm going to go paint a picture, you're going to take away my orange just because you think that orange wouldn't look good on, like, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know. So
pizza is definitely a art form and a way that you can express yourself either as a consumer, like what you want. You can say, this is what I like. This is expressing myself. Or as a person who makes pizza and said, this is what I like to put on. These are the ingredients I like to, this is the style I like to make. This is the type of oven I like to use. It's a real its own entity. But now I'm just thinking, guys, if I put pineapple on a hot dog, is that a Hawaiian hot dog?
Yeah, and it's probably awesome.
You know, we want to hear something funny. So when we went to Montreal, and I actually have a vlog of this on the channel here. We went to this place and it was totally like an Instagram, like picturesque place. And I totally fell for it. It was called Hato Dogu. It was within walking distance of our hotel. And I looked at the menu and I'm like, I gotta go to this place. They had hot dogs with like pineapple. I think I ordered one with pineapple ramen noodles. Like there was no actual hot dog on it. I thought there was a hot dog. I think there was ramen noodles on top of the hot dog. I was so disappointed. If you watch that vlog, I was trying to talk it up, but not like be critical about it because I actually wanted a hot dog. But there was like pineapple teriyaki sauce and so yeah, I mean they'll put pineapple on anything.
What about dessert pizza? We haven't talked about that, right? I mean, you can make a nice pizza with Nutella, even if you get the Nutella from ShopRite.
Yeah, well, Bobby, not for nothing, Bobby, but like, this isn't like when we were growing up. Now Nutella is everywhere. It's not like you have to go to Delilicious just to get Nutella.
I know. My mother used to send us to school with that, and kids were like, "What the heck are you eating?" And we would have to make up the story. My mom's so cool that she melts Snicker bars and puts them on bread for us, and that's our sandwich. Because we were so embarrassed because at that time nobody knew what it was. But I've made some great pizzas with Nutella and marshmallow, like like the mozzarella is marshmallow, and maybe some hazel nuts or something on it, drizzle chocolate syrup, or I made a red, white, and blue. I did an American dessert pizza once, kind of mimicking off the Italian theme, and I did blueberries and strawberries on with some whipped cream, so it had like the red, white, and blue kind of vibe. Just mess with it. Have fun.
Yeah, there's something I think growing up. I don't know if it's something everywhere. Like I know that like different cultures do it, but like one thing that we had growing up that I think a lot of like American kids, it wasn't part of the thing, was like the sweet stuff with like bread, not like sweet bread, but like putting like, do you remember like when we were kids, like, I don't know if you did this, but like you put like the cannoli cream on like a hero roll. Did you ever do that? Yeah. Like where it was like that kind of stuff. Like, but it's like so good.
Wonder bread with Nutella, man.
I remember one time, now we're talking about bringing sandwiches to school. This is a little sidetrack, but I remember one time my mom made me a sandwich on semolina bread with supersata, and it was wrapped in aluminum foil. And I remember people being like horrified by what I was eating, to the point where like I just threw it away because I couldn't take the ridicule.
You know what? Really quickly, just on that, when I was in school, I never used to eat lunch. So my friend used to be like, why don't you just bring something in and I'll eat it? But he was, he knew that our dad owned like an Italian deli. So like at the time I was just like, yeah, whatever. So like I went home and I was like, Dad, can you do me a favor and just like, can you bring home some cold cuts for me to take for lunch every day? And he's like, yeah, sure. What do you want? And I was like, oh, gabagool or prosciutto. And he's like, yeah, fine, whatever. So I was bringing like gabagool and prosciutto sandwiches to like feed my friend, but telling mom and dad that it was like for me. So like that went on for like, I think an entire year. And my friend, like I didn't realize at the time, but my friend, I remember being like, I'm getting like hundreds of dollars of meat per month from this.
Yeah. And like, I used to trade stuff with people. Like people used to love like the sandwiches I used to bring. And all I wanted in return were like those crackers in the plastic with the cheese with the little plastic lever. And not that my mom didn't buy that if we asked for it. It was just like, it was kind of a novelty. I'll give you this stuff, which I'm sick of, and you give me that really cool stuff.
Yeah.
I really did want to get to the comments that are in the live chat. And if you're still here, it looks like we got a good turnout tonight. I want to say thank you so much for joining. If you like food, subscribe to the channel. I do new content every week, dining reviews, recipes. You're going to love it if you're new here. So I'll bring up some of your comments and keep the comments coming, and we'll bring them up and react to them. We got Dom's comment. Bobby is the best drummer ever seen play. maybe one night we'll have him on and do a live little thing.
I also want to say while I'm here, I do want to shout out to Bobby. Like, not only is he the best drummer I've ever seen play, but Bobby, I'm going to go on record as saying, is literally the reason why I'm a musician. Because when I was a kid, I don't know if you remember this, Bobby, but you gave me like a drum magazine. And it was like when I was a kid, so it was like, you know, in the time of like 80s metal, and I became like obsessed with it. The drums didn't work out for me, but like that was like my first like obsession with like, oh my God, being a musician, so awesome kind of a thing.
Awesome. Well, I'm glad. And you're doing killer, man. You're doing killer stuff, man.
I mean, I'm doing what I could do, but you know, you got to do something, right? Like what else? What can I do?
And I do, by the way, have links to both Bobby and Dom in the description. After the video, you can go click on that, subscribe to them as well. We have Bobby's bandmate and my coworker, Joe Vivian, Stato Buono.
He's a budding pizza guy too. His father makes pizza. He eats it.
My dad never made pizza, actually, believe it or not. We got John Gill.
Hey,
looking
John.
forward to one of your pizzas.
That's one of my drumming pals.
There you go. We got my buddy from high school, probably one of the people who didn't ridicule me over the sandwich.
Wow.
Love the shirt. Tell us about the shirt. That's a couple people commented on that.
This is my very, all-time favorite pizzeria. You know, if I had to choose one pizza place to go to as my last meal, I'm going to John's on Bleecker Street. I like the one that they have in Midtown too, in the church. But there's something about the atmosphere of the Bleecker Street one, especially in the old room, that just feels really New York and takes you right back. And the very, very first time when I moved to New York City and people knew I was like from a pizza family, people like, have you had John's? Have you had John's? It's like the best pizza in the city. And I kept hearing about it. I'm like, yeah, whatever, the best pizza. I'm so tired of pizza my whole life. I eat pizza. Everybody talks pizza. I was walking down the street with my friend. I didn't even go into the place. We were just going down Bleecker Street, and the pizza guy was showing up late to the place. He was like, running in, and the boss was standing outside. And I wasn't going in. I was just walking by. The timing just happened to be like, oh, that's that famous John's everybody keeps on talking by. This pizza guy's running in, putting his apron on, and the boss, you're late. And that guy goes, I'm only 10 minutes late. And the boss goes, how about I hang you by your beep for 10 minutes and see how you like it? And I was like, I fell in love with that place. And then they good pizza.
What's good about the pizza? Like what's outstanding? Like what do you like about it?
First of all, okay, so a part of the New York history of pizza, the very first pizza place in all of America, 1905, was Lombardi's, which is still there on Spring Street. And to make a long story short, it was old school Italian. So everybody's, bringing back relatives from Italy. Come work with me. I got a pizza shop in New York. You can work here, and so that became like a place where a lot of the famous New York pizza places that are there now kind of all have their roots at Lombardi's. So the real first one was Totano's, which moved out to Coney Island, which in the 1920s, from Manhattan to Coney Island, it might as well have been, you might as well have been upstate New York or whatever. It was you weren't competing with each other then. Yeah. And Totano was actually the Lombardi's cousin or nephew or some family member. Lombardi started out as an Italian grocery store, but started making pizzas out of his bread oven to all the workers, and that was selling more. So he's like, forget the groceries, we're making pizzas. Totano's was his pizza guy. Totano's went out on his own. There was Totano taught another guy, John, who went out on his own, and that's John's Pizzeria. Now, the thing that makes John's and Lombardi's kind of interesting was the oven was coal fire oven. So, the three main fuels for oven, three main fuels for oven are gas, coal, and wood. In Naples, you're going to get a wood oven, and I've seen them pop up all over the place in the United States. Coal ovens kind of, unless you're grandfathered in, you can't really do it because it's carcinogenic. It's not good for you. Okay. But it tastes really good. But back in the turn of the century, early 1900s, that's how the ovens were, heated up, cold. So these places like John's and Lombardi's are grandfathered in. They get this pizza. They're actually cooking them in bread ovens with cold heat, and it really gives it a distinct, to me, an authentic New York pizza. To me, it's what I would call a Neapolitan, which is like a new Neapolitan style. It's kind of 1 foot in the old, 1 foot in the new. The pizza that we think about like as the sort of medium thick that you fold, that came about after World War II when the GIs came back from Italy to America. That's when people started tossing pizzas in the air and putting the pizza guy in the window and stuff to attract people to come in because it was a novelty food in America at that time.
Little do people actually know.
Roots.
The funny thing is, pizza didn't actually become popular in Italy until they took it back in World War II.
Exactly.
So it kind of came here and then went there. So like it all fueled each other, kind of.
Can I just ask, just to finish up the story of Totano's? Did Totano's invent Totino's pizza rolls?
Well, we maybe have to take a trip to Coney Island to find out.
I'm ready.
Remember when we went to Coney Island when we were like 2 and 3, and then you ran me over?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
That was
by the way. Did he really run you over?
Yeah.
Is that
That's
really
a true story, man.
So for everybody in the live chat here, one day when Bobby and I were young, probably under 5, his dad left us in the car with the keys in the ignition, and we were playing around like we were driving, and we were on a hill, and the hill has gone from this to this, and now it's like this.
Can I just tell you one thing though? Can I ask a quick question? Because you put the blame, when you tell the story, you put a lot of the blame on Bobby's side and Uncle C's side. But where was our dad or mom and all of
No, your dad and my mom and your mom were in ShopRite across the street. They were grocery shopping.
Yeah, but he was 2.
My father was probably like, I'll take the boys. Come on, guys, let's go with me. My father was probably like, wanted to get away from everybody. He's like, I'll take the guys, leave him in the car. It was probably a bar. I don't even know what the hell. He was probably in there having a couple of beers while me and Jerry were pretending we were freaking Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Bobby has been obsessed with the Incredible Hulk his entire life. So when the car started going down the hill that was this steep, he got out of the car and tried to hold it back, and it ran his leg over, and he was in a cast. And this is a true story.
And we survived to talk about it.
Yeah.
Did you? Well, here's the question: did you turn into the Hulk or not?
Apparently, I didn't. But
the hill must not have been as steep as we thought.
At that time, I think Incredible Hulk series was only on season 2. We didn't get to season 3 yet.
Oh, okay.
Another thing I want to talk about, Dom, while you're on, and this is going to be controversial, I think. There's a place. So for anybody who doesn't follow Dom, one of his monikers is the Denim Travolta. Okay.
That's what they call me. Well, I mean, they don't call me that, but what am I supposed to do? Wait around for somebody to call me Denim Travolta?
So they call him the Denim Travolta. I found out there's a place in New York City called Monero's Pizza.
God.
That is actually named after Tony Manero, John Travolta's character from Saturday Night Fever, and they specialize in the pizza, the 2 slices of pizza.
Yeah. That's what I have a problem with. Because okay, so here's the problem. There's no such thing as specializing in the Saturday Night Fever 2-slice pizza, because all he did was take 2 slices of pizza and put it on top of each other. Any pizzeria could specialize in that if you just take the 2 slices and put them on top of each other.
But this place is famous for it.
No, it's not, though. That's the thing. It's not. The movie is famous for it.
What's the name of the place in the movies that it really happened?
Joe's.
The funny thing is, we used to live around the corner from that place on 85th Street.
Joe's.
It's not Joe's.
No,
I mean, that's a wild guess. It's like guessing C on a test. Like
I forgot what it was. Lenny's, that's right.
Oh, so close.
So Joe's, my favorite slice in New York City is Joe's on Carmine Street.
Yes.
It used to be on the corner of Bleecker Street where they made the Spider-Man movie, but the rent got too high, became too high, so
yeah,
he had a second location a couple of doors down. Pizza's delicious there, so I'm talking about, you go in, you get a slice. I usually get a regular slice, a Sicilian slice, and a bottle of Coke, in glass bottle, and it's still like $5 or maybe $6
Yeah.
or something like that. It's the best.
That's so good. Yeah.
All right. So the next comment we have is going to move us upstate a little bit, and this is one that I think Bobby's going to have some opinion on. What do you guys think of the cold cheese pizza?
Oh boy.
It's a bunch of drunks. That's what that's all about, you know.
I've been so for those of you who don't know, Long Island, Oneonta, there's kind of a rivalry over where this originated. But in Oneonta, there's a thing called cold cheese pizza. What it is they take a hot slice of cheese pizza, they put a handful of cold cheese on top of it, and then serve it to you, and you eat it that way. It's supposedly originated because there were drunk kids coming into the bar. Oneonta is a college town, and so if these kids weren't burning their mouth, they would cool it down with the cold cheese, and it's now a legend. I actually, a few years ago, took Cassie and Noah, and we went to Tino's. We went to Sal's down the road from Tino's, and then I went to Pizza Land and got cold cheese slices everywhere and had to try all that stuff. And your uncle also fed us like crazy as it was at Pizza Land anyway. But I like the cold cheese pizza personally. I'm a fan.
Be honest, it's a weird thing to me. To me, that's more weird than pineapple on pizza.
But this
Really?
goes to the point, though. That's my point, is that, like, it's a canvas. These drunks, they put the cold cheese on the pizza, and now it became a legend. And, like, it doesn't make sense, right? But, like, it's a thing.
Well, it's a story, and it's something that, you know, you remember from that time period of your life.
Yeah. I would say if you ever go to Oneonta or anywhere that has it, there's a place in Albany on Western Avenue called DC's Pizza. I think the guy actually might have been from Oneonta or Long Island. He does a really good cold cheese slice. I did a video review on that. After the stream here, I'll throw a link in the description so you can check that out. Very good. Next comment we have here, Bert Kreischer shouted out Pizzeria Anteca on podcast that it was the best pizza he ever tasted.
Oh, I had that right then. That place, the name, right?
We got our pop, I think our cousin.
Mm-hmm.
Nice shirt. John's is good. Joe's is up there. The best New York slice.
Right.
Simplicity at its best. Yeah.
That's what we just said. Yep.
Yeah.
We got Dad thinks he can call in.
Yeah, because so before, what had happened before, just to explain, before when my dad was calling, he was watching this and actually in the chat. And when he called, I think he thought that he could call in like it's like a telethon or something.
Well, thanks, Uncle Don, for the support.
We got Cousin Pat here. Tell that Goomba next, no pineapple.
Okay, look, Cousin Pat is my, I rank my cousins, and I'm telling you right now, Cousin Pat and Cousin Bobby with Cousin Michael Schkupp, right? Like Jen, you guys are on the upper echelon, but Cousin Pat is part of the problem a little bit with the pineapple thing. Like, look, like I'm with you. You think pineapple is gross. I think, arugula is disgusting, but like neither of us should want to ban it, right? Like if you like arugula, I'm like so happy that you like it. It's just like if it reaches my lips, I'm going to puke,
Well, the answer to Cousin Pat is right here. Wait, here's it. But he did say that if my daughter made it with pineapple, he would give it a shot.
There you go. We got another comment from Joe. This is amazing. Cousin show should be a thing. I'm actually going to add to that. Maybe even do like a cousin tier list. I think we
look, I have no problem going into it. There's no secret, right? We know who's going to be at the bottom of that list and who's going to be at the top of that list, but I can go into specifics. We'll do it. We have about 79 cousins. You know what I mean? And I have a number for each of them.
So we were one of 10 kids, our dad.
Yeah.
Is it 9 or 10?
10.
They were one of 10. Me and you, thankfully, were one of 2.
But so. I think for a while we were only acknowledging it as one of 9.
I don't know what you guys are acknowledging, but I know 1 in a million, baby.
Yeah. Well, you know, as we've established now, Bobby is at the top tier, so you know that's.
And I mean, everybody's going to have their own tier. I'm sure certain people would have me in the bottom tier, and I'm
Yeah, and who cares? The
See, that's
best
the whole. That's it's the same thing, guys. It's like everybody has their own idea. You know, you're
Right.
in one tier here, you're in pineapple over here,
Right,
you're,
right, right.
Like arugula over there.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Some cousins
over
are
here.
arugula, some cousins. Yeah.
This over here.
Here, do that again. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me get rid of this banner.
I love how you go out of frame and you like come into frame.
I don't know which one is my right and which one is my left.
The funny thing is, I went crazy a few years ago trying to figure out what that is. You know what it's called?
The circle game.
It's just called the circle game. So I get sucked into TikTok, and one of the things I get a lot are like people reaching into like a big tub and then coming out and pulling that.
I know.
So that actually takes us through all the comments that are in there. We've gone an hour here. I'm gonna wrap up the stream here. Before I go into some business end stuff here, I want to thank you guys for coming on. Bobby, it was awesome having you on. We've been talking about it for a while. I know it's still mid-pandemic, but we got to get together and do some pizza stuff.
Absolutely.
I think I want to start messing with the biga, the sourdough pizza.
Yeah.
I think that I'm going to start working on that, and maybe we'll link up sometime this spring and figure something out.
Love to do it, and it's good to see both of you guys, and this was lots of fun. We could do this anytime.
I do want to apologize for I only meant to come on to complain for like 2 minutes. So sorry for taking up the rest of the time.
I think people loved it, and you're not imposing on anybody. I can have up to 6 people on this, and maybe next time that we can give Dad the number.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm going to take you guys off the stream and then wrap it up here.
Thanks. Talk to you later.
That was really fun, guys. I had so much fun talking to those guys, especially Bobby. We don't get together enough. I do want to say thank you so much for joining me here. One thing, if you are new here and you like food, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. It really helps me out. That's kind of the bare minimum that you can do to support the channel here and get new videos out to new people. The thumbs up is a big thing. Like I said, in the description, there's a few other ways that you could support if you want. I have merch. That this shirt that I'm wearing is actually available, and I have a couple other things up there that you can purchase as well. I make new content every week, and I've been kind of in this schedule where every Saturday is a new dining post, and every Tuesday is like a new recipe video, and then Thursday I go live. So I told that out of order, didn't I? So Tuesdays recipe video, Thursdays live, and then Saturday dining post. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy that. I have a few really good ones coming up. I just filmed one today, going to an Italian deli, eating an Italian sub, and it was a disaster. And not the restaurant's fault. It was just me. I was a disaster. I made a mess in the place. I made a mess at home. And it's one of those things that I'm going to keep it all in the edit. I got nothing to hide here. So there's that. I am reviewing a new place that opened up in the neighborhood here in Schenectady Saturday morning. So don't miss that. The restaurant reviews go up first thing in the morning as soon as I wake up. So that's coming. Next week, I am recreating a dish from my dad's deli. And this one may be a little controversial, honestly. You're going to want to check that one out. It's coming out Tuesday. It's an 8-minute video. It's probably my longest recipe video in a while. I've been trying to keep the recipes between 5 and 7 minutes. So this one, it deserved a little more time. It's that good. And then I have a lot of other stuff coming up. But I really want to thank you guys for the support. Thanks a lot for coming into the stream, talking with me and Bobby tonight, putting comments in the chat. It's been great. Thank you so much. Again, like, subscribe, leave some comments if you're catching this in the replay. And we'll see you next week. I got Dominic Close from A Moose on Broadway coming on. Thanks a lot, guys.